This podcast is a production of WCWP, LIU Public Radio. Check out our lineup of original programs, listen live, or support by visiting WCWP.org.
The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. We provide programs and services designed to assist and support the older town residents who wish to remain in their homes as they age. If we don't currently provide a service, we will try and connect you to that service. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Welcome to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. This is Project Independence and You. I'm your host, John Ryan, and my co-host today is Otto Lohse. Good morning, Otto.
John. Morning.
It's always good to see Otto.
Good to see you.
And thank you. We have a show today that's I know it's very dear to Otto's heart, because he's very much involved with Project Independence. And what we do have is we have Kelly Steinmann with us today, who's a Project Independent nurse. Hello, Kelly. And
hi, how are you?
Good. And we have a social worker. We have Krista Papatheodorou,
Yes.
who is a social worker with Project Independence. And Otto, just before we started, said he'd like to know how people work together. But what we're going to do is, Kelly, you're going to tell us what you do, and then Krista, and then the most important part, Otto is going to jump in and how you guys work together. How are you, Kelly? And thank you so much, both of you, for coming on.
Oh, no problem. I'm doing well. I hope everybody else is doing well during this crazy time. I just wanted to let everybody know I miss them, and I hope that everyone is staying home as much as possible and wearing a mask and washing their hands as much as possible. It's been very busy with Project Independence nursing related. You can see just by my own personal life, we've had a couple losses due to COVID, and during this isolation, it makes it very difficult for people to get together to grieve or mourn together. People are having such feelings of isolation, and due to that, their physical well-being is not really being taken care of. And that's what I'd really like to get into with what I've been doing. I have been doing a lot of phone calls, and people have been reaching out to me. A, they're not feeling well. B, they don't know what to do because they're afraid to go to the doctor. They're not getting out and exercising. They really are feeling a sense of loss. And the loss is really spanning over multiple areas of their life right now. So I, as the nurse, try to take care of as much as I possibly can over the phone by referring people out to different places and to different agencies. And I also try to provide as much emotional support as I can. However, Krista, our social worker, is who I would refer to on that area, because that's more of her expertise than nursing. But we do a lot of that. And I tell you, just by making that phone call and making that contact with someone, they take a big deep breath, and you actually hear that breath on the other side. So even though I have not seen these seniors in a long time, that phone call means the world.
Wonderful.
I can tell you that I am busier now. What was that?
I said that's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. I am actually busier now than when I was in the office, because I'm trying to reach so many different people on the phone. I'm trying to encourage them to go to the doctor now. In the beginning, when we really didn't know a lot about this isolation and COVID, we were really telling everybody, try to stay home and isolate yourself, which we're still doing, but we're actually encouraging people now, go for your annual checkup, call your doctor and find out what precautions they're taking. And a lot of people are scared, so we really try to walk them through that.
Well,
that's in a nutshell what we're doing.
if you think about it, it's been 9 months, and
Yes.
most seniors usually go to the doctor at least every 6 months because
Yes.
of issues that they might have. So to wait, now we're at the 9-month mark. Now you're talking to maybe a year or two before you get to see a doctor. So that's a good thing that you're encouraging them.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to wait that long. a lot of medications like cholesterol medications that you're on, doctors might want you to have your blood work done every 3 months. So there's some resources that we have. There's a lot of home blood drawing that can be done. Your doctor can order that. So they could still monitor you. There's virtual visits that you could do with your doctor. There's phone calls that you could do with your doctor. But there's nothing better than being in an office and seeing the doctor and saying, hey, listen, this is really bothering me. What can I do about this? And telling them honestly and prioritizing your problems with the doctor is very, very important.
I agree with you there. Go ahead, Otto.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Do you have many seniors that you get involved with that you either via Zoom or maybe they're doing telemed? Is there much of that going on, or is it primarily?
We actually do have quite a few seniors that are participating in virtual visits with their doctor. And Barbara Melman has been very good with helping with that. The IT person, not IT, but our virtual person, I don't know what title she has. Barbara Melman.
Sounds good. That sounds
yeah,
good.
she's really been helping with a lot of that. And, a lot of the doctor's offices really are able to walk seniors through that. And it's nice because if you are sitting, say you live in Great Neck, and you want to have a virtual visit with your doctor, your daughter who lives in Massachusetts can also be on that call, which is nice because that wasn't always the case before. You had to say, oh, could you call my daughter in Massachusetts and let her know what's going on? Now they're actually part of the visit. And it's nice because everybody's on board with the same program.
That's
wonderful. Actually, I want to skip over to say hello to Krista and have her say a word, and then we'll just go back and forth with conversation. Good morning, Krista.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much. Now, tell us a little bit about what you do from a social work perspective. I know Kelly sends people your way, but what's the reason for that?
So a big part of what social work does for Project Independence is, like Kelly mentioned, providing that emotional support, counseling, those weekly phone calls that they look forward to. I can't tell you how many seniors we've been working with that are dealing with isolation, loneliness, anxiety through this pandemic. And I feel like the phone call, even just a few minutes out of the day, they have so much relief in just hearing from another person. And unfortunately, a lot of them haven't been able to see their loved ones or their kids, or everything is over the phone now. So it really makes a big difference. And another big part of what we do is, especially from the beginning of this pandemic, is provide resources for grocery shopping and Meals on Wheels. We refer out a lot, which the seniors have been very grateful for. A lot of the reason is because, they're terrified to go out and shop for themselves because of all the germs and the risk of getting COVID.
That's very true. My mother-in-law, I've talked about this on the show, she's 91. And last night, my wife got the list, because my wife goes shopping for her every week. Getting that list is a nightmare. Well, maybe a little this, and maybe, wow, what do you want? Well, maybe if they have, maybe it's like, oh, please. But guess what? She's fortunate. She has my wife, and she has a son also in the neighborhood that will go and do this stuff. Otherwise, you're lost. And then she'll hang out with her for a little while. We bring her out here once a week. I sit in the den and she's in the kitchen with my wife.
That's really nice.
It's spooky to spend day after day by yourself. It's and actually, without exaggeration, this week, I know 2 people who have died and one that's hanging on. And I don't think that all men, I don't think that hanger on is going to be hanging much longer. So then you go into a terrible situation with the spouse. I mean, every one of them was married 3 times, but that's besides the point. I don't know who grieves now, but no, so something like that with Project Independence is just so important. There's no question.
It's been really helpful. I mean, we even have some people who have loved ones staying in nursing homes who are completely isolated, people who went into nursing homes during all of this. coming from the hospital. Isolation really affects your mental health. So
I'm going to give a plug, and then Otto's going to go for the Mary Ann Tully Hospice Inn, who was on last week. It's a hospice. It's part of Northwell's network. They permit people to come in to see the person, which is the only place I've heard of, because I know people who have their loved one has died and they may not have seen them for the last couple of weeks. Maybe a phone call.
Yeah, that's the Hospice Inn also up in Huntington has also started allowing people to come in.
Okay.
It's usually like one person from 12 to 8 type of thing. But they realize how important it is for the patient and also for the family to come through that grieving process. It's very, very important. It's important for everyone. It's a little bit different. In the beginning, nobody was allowed anywhere. They understand this virus. I say that lightly,
right.
A bit more now. So as long as everybody can protect themselves, you have to weigh the risk there, and just being with that family member is sometimes more important.
Definitely. The fact that they're even allowing them now is a big deal, because in the summertime they were not allowing it. And a lot of people had to face difficult decisions. Do I want to send my loved one to hospice care if I can't be with them at the very end? I'd rather them come home. But then it all comes into, also tough decisions if there's somebody there to care for them. And that's another thing that social work does, guidance through these tough decisions and making sure that every person knows all their options and what they're, heading towards.
Right.
Right. And this is a clear example of how nursing and social work would work together. If I had, or Krista had, this client who was very ill and they needed guidance on where to go to and how to go navigate, this is something where we would both come in together and help provide resources and maybe share an experience or, make a suggestion.
I just this past Wednesday, I visited a sister-in-law. She's 94 years old in Brookhaven in a nursing/rehab place. Mm-hmm. And I go there with her 3 children. And the bottom line is, it's even though there are people around when you're in a nursing home, it's still like being isolated. They used to have friendly dogs come in and sing-alongs, and people come in and do all kinds of things. And those people aren't going into the nursing homes. So we end up going up to a window, and luckily the one nurse did have a phone that she would allow the family to use, and we could communicate, even though she frankly is not communicating too well, but you can tell by her face that she's happy to see everybody. And we put up signs at the window to tell them who we are, and it's brutal. I mean, there's just so many situations.
We have to take a break, Otto, but I want to come back to you because I saw your picture on Facebook. It was beautiful. But we're going to be back with Otto. You're listening to Senior Talk Radio on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. One of the many services we offer is help at home with minor home maintenance. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome back to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. This is Project Independence. I'm your host, John Ryan, and my co-host today is Otto Lohse.
Doing good, John.
And we're having a wonderful time with Kelly and Krista. So that'll be the team, like Kelly and Krista. It's like Regis, not Regis. What's the one? Kelly and Ryan. But nevertheless, Otto, I want to go back because we continued talking at the break. But I want you to share that story of your sister-in-law, because people need to do what you do too, though. Go and visit, even if it's through a window. People need that. But just tell us. I think what you do is wonderful.
Well, my sister-in-law, this is of my first wife, who you knew died and passed. This is a long time ago. But long story short, I don't think we should forget people because they're in an isolated mode. And you can't just count on people like Kelly and Krista to take care of the problem. I think if you have family members who are isolated either at home or in a nursing home or whatever, make some time. Try not to forget them. Even if it's just, frankly, we go up to the window. It's about an hour's drive out to Brookhaven from New Hyde Park. And I go with her brother. The two of us go. And it's you spend 5 minutes at the window, and basically that's it. But part of it is also, frankly, they have a gazebo there, and we end up having lunch. We all bring our own sandwich, and we almost froze to death on Wednesday, but we sat at the gazebo and had lunch. And it's good for the family as well. It's not just the patient, the person who's in the nursing home. It's the family that's the immediate family. They need a little emotional support, if you will. It's not fun for anybody. There's no, we always preach positive on this show. And I think the positive is you can try to do the best you can to make that less painful for whoever's going through it. And, that's my story.
I totally agree. And I want to jump in here and say something about Otto, because if I don't every week, I think I'm missing the boat, because he really is an exemplary human being. Otto is visiting his sister-in-law, okay, from his first wife who died. But Otto is remarried for 40 years, right, Otto?
40, I better get this right.
Get it right, Otto.
Let it go with 40.
42 years.
42 years.
Yeah, my first wife was young when she died, and but I stayed in touch with her family.
That's amazing.
We always got along, so there was no reason not to. And it's my kid's, biological aunt, and there's no reason not to keep that going.
I agree, but that takes work, because a lot of families just drift apart, and they're not immediately part of the nucleus. It's like, oh yeah, maybe next week, and next week becomes next month becomes next year. But I honestly, I do nothing but give Otto praise, because he is, if everybody could live half the life that Otto lives, it'd be a wonderful world. There'd be no wars. There'd be nothing but peace. Anyway, from that, Krista, I'm going to get away from you now, Otto. From that, Krista, you were saying you also work in a nursing home part-time.
Yes, I do. I work in a nursing home on the weekends, and I've been seeing firsthand, how difficult it's been for a lot of the patients there. As far as isolation goes, a lot of them, their mental health is declining. And I also saw it firsthand because my grandmother was actually staying at that nursing home, and she wasn't motivated to want to do better as far as rehab goes, because she wasn't seeing my grandfather, she wasn't seeing her kids. FaceTime was like the one thing she was looking forward to, which is really hard. And I'm sure a lot of people are dealing with the same thing.
Absolutely. It's very difficult. And that's why you need both you, Krista, and someone like Kelly, because unfortunately, part of your job, just via a phone call, is try to sense what's going wrong.
Absolutely.
If you're looking at my face, you can turn around and say, John, you're lying to me. You're in pain or something else. But just on the phone, you guys really have to be on your game.
People really need that support.
And during this time, it's during the holiday time, a lot of these devices that the seniors can use aren't that expensive, like a Fire tablet or something like that. I've been encouraging, because I'm in touch with a lot of the kids of the seniors, because they're on email all the time. So they're constantly emailing me and getting through to me that way. And I've been encouraging them to get one of these devices, set up Zoom already on it. So when you give it to them, it's already set up. There's not that much to learn, because if you give them a device to learn and then another something on top of that, and then something on top of that, we have so many virtual programs on Zoom too with Project Independence. It's unbelievable how that really can make someone feel that connection again. Krista does a men's group. We have other
right after this, actually.
We have other social groups that are happening. We do a lot of educational health chats with physicians and physical therapists on. We're doing a a Heart Smart program. It's 6 weeks long. It's, so many virtual programs. Exercise can be done with that. So it's a wonderful, wonderful gift if someone is really looking for something. And I know, Otto, you were talking about the circle of support before. This is a paper. It's a simple paper that we present to most of our seniors. Well, we try to present it to all of our seniors because the main goal of Project Independence is for the seniors to have a plan of what if. Very important. What if I'm hospitalized? What if I fall and break a toe? What do I do? How do I get my groceries?
What if
I don't
we
want to
home
always.
care?
Right. So we talk about who would you call? Who would you contact? Would you tell your mailman if I don't, get mail out of my mailbox for 3 days? Can you please call someone? Just knock on the neighbor's door. Maybe, they have a note saying I'm going away for a couple of days. Probably not now, but I'm going away for a couple of days. Don't panic if the mail starts piling up. So it's really a paper. There you go, Otto. Very good. And we help you fill in those inadequacies, those parts that you can't fill out. And between Krista and I, as working together as a team, we help you fill in that circle of support so you don't feel alone. So this feeling of isolation, maybe you can access your circle of support and say, hey, Project Independence has something for me to do almost every day.
Kelly,
Let me try to get on those.
You hit two real hot buttons with me, all right? One is
Good.
technology for seniors, which everybody knows I've been preaching for a long time. And a tablet is the way to go because it's much easier than a computer or a laptop.
Absolutely.
And the other part of it is I'm a big proponent of the circle of support, which I would like to see digitized so that it could be done on something like a tablet and exchange with the daughter up in Massachusetts or wherever. I think it would be very valuable. It'd be even more valuable if it could be done in such a way that you two guys, when you're out there, could actually be tapping the answers in, and people would then be able to email these. It's a very valuable piece of information. So anyhow, I'm campaigning to digitize Circle of Support.
Okay, something to work on for the future.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to do it, but yeah.
Me neither. I couldn't change my name.
I do. I think we're looking at it probably, Otto, but that's besides the point.
Christina.
No, but it's a good point because, in a whole different perspective, most people know I'm a financial advisor. When you sit down with somebody, you're going through all this stuff. Now, I take it a step further because I am involved with, Project Independence. I got a master's in gerontology, so I understand this stuff. That digitized would be such a tremendous instrument just to sit there, fill it all out, and then you send it to the kids. And here's where mommy's contacts are. Here's where mommy's friend is. And here's the stuff she's nervous with. And because you'd be surprised, a lot of adult children, as caring as they may be, don't know half the contacts in their parents' life. You're agreeing, Cal?
You know what?
No, and
I'm actually laughing because I think there's probably things that could be added to that. Like I've told my daughters, I said, look, make sure if something happens to me, you shave the hair on my ear, all right? And also, I was just laying in bed thinking this morning, because I wear hearing aids. If you're laying there and you're like almost deaf, you can't hear, I was going to say, put in my circle of support, make sure you stick the hearing aids in so I can hear what's going on. There might even be like a miscellaneous, the notes section in the back, where you could put stuff like that. And then everybody would know your feelings.
That's a very important part, Otto, because what you want and what your kids want for you at the end of your life, different. It's very rare, very, very rare that they are 100% agree, especially if there's multiple children, multiple marriages. It's just between, even if it's two children, very different. So a big part of who I am, besides being a nurse, is I could talk about the end of life to anyone. I am a firm believer in having your wishes at the end of your life be what you want. And I help bridge that gap. And sometimes I bring in Krista also, because we need to bridge that gap between the senior and their children. Very important. Is also what the circle is.
Completing a healthcare proxy forms and DNRs and stuff like that. It's what we do as a team.
Yeah,
Right. Just like you said, Otto, if someone said to me, always make sure I have fresh underwear if you have to call an ambulance. That's true.
Yeah, well, those are things that are important to some people.
Yes.
Most people, actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
I must not go to underwear. No,
it's true.
100% Kelly and Krista, I'm agreeing with you both, and I'll take it one step further. And that's from my experience. Forget the adult children getting involved. There's a lot of couples that haven't had conversation to real depth. And that the wife, unfortunately, is more often than not, the wife is the survivor, totally lost because they didn't have a conversation. I know one that there was two graves and your woman had no idea where to bury him, didn't know which one he wanted. It's like, I was just like, don't worry about it. Just pick one and I'm sure it's going to be right. I mean, he obviously bought two for whatever reason. Never even discussed it. And I think younger people, but women were excluded in a lot of decision making over the years. And they really are at a loss. That's my opinion.
Well, I think from the older generations, like my generations, that was probably more true than current. But, I don't think it matters what generation. A lot of people are afraid to talk about it.
Right. But nowadays, Otto, actually two things. We're out of time, believe it or not, already. And women today are very bossy. It's a whole different world. No. And Krista, I want to thank you guys both so much. Christina has to bring you back on again because this really, it's so informative, it's so good, but it gives accolades to Project Independence and all the wonderful work you guys are doing. So thank you so much. You're listening to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. Some of the many services we offer include nursing and social work services. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome back to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. This is Project Independence and You. I'm your host, John Ryan, and my co-host today is Otto Lohse.
We're having fun here, John.
We really are. We just had, those two ladies, Krista and Kelly, are, a small indication of what happens in Project Independence. I mean, obviously our own Christina is every week she's here and people have to realize that, she's here because Project Independence is, but the nurses, the social workers, everybody involved is tremendous. And now Anthony is with us, and Anthony's a Port Washington resident, and Anthony is a member of Project Independence. Anthony, you have to tip your screen down. We can't see you. Now tip it up. Kind of go in the middle someplace. Perfect. But you're muted though. Can you find the mute button? Okay, I think we lost Anthony. Okay, that's fine. I don't mean that's fine. We'll get Anthony back when he calls in. We'll re-hook him back up, but we can continue on a little bit in reference to Project Independence and what it does. And first of all, which we didn't give out when Kelly was on the phone, which was my fault, actually, 311. That's how you get in touch with Project Independence. And Christina had sent me an information. Since COVID began, the nurses and the social workers have received 7,716 calls. Wow. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And there's many. I mean, Project Independence is almost unique to North Hempstead. I mean, it really is. I mean, it started years ago, and through Supervisor Bosworth, she kept it going, and she continues to add services to it and transportation and everything else. But to have 7,716 calls made when there's other parts of this country that a senior has nobody to turn to if they can't get in touch with their children or maybe a caring neighbor. Here, we can have a social worker go to the house. And help them. We can get Meals on Wheels to them and help them. It's truly a gift. There's just no question about it. And Anthony is back. Hello, Anthony. You're still on mute, though.
There's a house.
On the bottom left. Now I'm going to say.
He did it. He
Okay,
did it.
I should be unmuted now, Otto.
No, you're good. Good morning.
Good morning. Are we on the air?
Yes, we are.
Oh, well, good morning to all of you. And let me turn this down. And thank you for allowing me to participate in this program.
Oh,
I've
it's a
been
pleasure.
listening to it since June, and you guys are just the greatest. And we all know that Otto is the man, the myth, and the legend.
I love it.
You love it, huh? And Christina and Dan Cox. And it's nice to be here, and my emotions as well. It's the two guests who preceded me. They do wonderful work.
Terrific.
And,
I'm so glad to hear that.
So,
Now, tell us about yourself, Anthony. How'd you get involved in Project Independence?
my girlfriend told me about Project Independence, and I met a cab driver on the train when I used to come up here, and he drives for Deluxe Transportation, and both of them, my girlfriend and the cab driver.
Cab driver. Yep.
The cab driver, Denny, I'll think of his name.
Okay.
Told me about Project Independence, and they agreed that I should get involved with it. And it has been nothing but fun, nothing but success. And I look forward to working with Otto and all of you to show a lot of people about technology, because technology, and I believe that technology and public relations are my strong points.
Good for you.
Anthony, I had the pleasure of talking to Anthony on the phone.
Oh, I did too.
Maybe a month or so, 2 months ago, whatever. And Anthony is quite open about the fact that he is visually very impaired. He was born
visually impaired, yes.
Yeah, and can't see, basically, is what it comes down to.
Correct.
And like the fact that you're on technology, and we say, oh, you need to hit the mute button or whatever. That's kind of taken for granted by a lot of people, including me, on how you do that. How do you do that when you have you're visually impaired?
Well, there is the reason why I didn't know how to hit the mute button at first was because I'm doing this on my Mac, and I had never done it on my Mac before. I always did it on my iPhone or my iPad. So I had to fiddle around with it, and I found the mute button. There is a text-to-speech reader in the Mac operating system and in the iPhone operating system as well, called VoiceOver. Apple has a few technology aids, VoiceOver, Zoom Text, which makes the text larger, which doesn't apply to me, and things like that. And VoiceOver is built in every device that Apple makes, including the Apple Watch. And what I do is arrow around with the arrow keys, and when I find the button that I want to find, I just hit the space bar, and it works. And I've been I've been on the Apple operating system since 2009, and you would have to really pry it out of my hands to get me to stop using it, because it is really, really a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing for anyone who has any kind of disability, hearing loss, visual impairments. It's not, the accessibility features on the Apple devices are not to just one disability.
You know, we have, I know a few people, a lot of people actually, who, when you get older, sometimes macular degeneration creeps in there, and people become visually impaired who weren't visually impaired before, which is a way different game than you, in that you grew up as a kid, you know, basically being, I'm not saying this is a luxury, don't get me wrong, but, you know, you grew up and adapted right from childhood or babyhood, basically. And then somebody comes along and they're 75 years old or whatever, and they have macular degeneration, and all of a sudden they can't read, they can't watch TV, you know, they can't drive. It's like a slam. All of a sudden your life changes completely. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like how, you know, you're a positive person, I think. You know, you've adapted to your impairment, if you will. Do you have any thoughts on what people might do?
Well, yes, it's true. I've been blind since birth, so I'm not able to miss something I never had. And growing up, my mother and father saw that I got the best education that a person who was blind in the 60s could get. My brother and sister were very supportive of me, and they still are. My cousins, I had a whole network of cousins who were very supportive of me and wanted to see me succeed, and friends, my relatives, my aunts, my uncles, and it just came naturally to me because I didn't know any other way. As far as people who lose their vision later on in life, although the end result is the same, the circumstances are different, and I'm sure it requires some people on their part to really try to work with it. Some people can, and some people can't. I knew a 15-year-old kid that lost his sight, and he just couldn't deal with it, never learned to deal with it. And I know other people who do very well. I know a lady that's 90 years old or 91 years old who is doing totally magnificent up here in this area. And she is doing magnificent. And it's just a pleasure and a joy to be in her company. So it depends on the individual and what their attitude is toward it.
Anthony, I have a question, and it's a tough one. What do you know, the woman did well and the younger fella didn't. What is if you can, what is the thing that makes the difference?
Your attitude.
What I'm trying to say. Okay.
Your attitude and your network. Your attitude and the network of people who you have around me. There are positive people. There are people in the middle. And unfortunately, there are negative people. And people who are positive come out of it with absolutely almost unscathed. And people who are in the middle, you know, they do the best they can. Unfortunately, people who are negative through possibly no fault of their own don't handle it as well. Like I said, I had a whole network of people from, you know, my schoolmates to my teachers, my chums. Okay. There was a teacher.
Anthony, can I just put you on hold for a second because we have to take a break already? But
Absolutely.
we need to keep going with this. You're listening
Sure.
to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. We'll be right back.
Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead. Some of the many services we offer include fitness classes, community education, information, and referral. Call 311 or 869-6311 to get more information or receive services.
Welcome back to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. This is Project Independence and You. I'm your host, John Ryan, and my co-host today is Otto Lohse. And we have the honor of hanging out this morning with Anthony. I'm saying it right, Vece?
Yeah, that's the Italian way, Vece, or you can say Vece because we Americanized it.
Right.
Vece or Vece is perfectly fine.
My wife's Italian, so that's why I said, okay.
Oh, God bless her. God bless her. Yeah, my late wife was Italian, and my girlfriend is half Italian.
My first wife was Italian, who passed away.
Of course. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Well,
my late wife passed away
about,
in
45 years ago.
My late wife passed away in 2017.
Yeah, I read that in your notes.
Yeah.
At the break, Anthony, there was two things. One, a continuation of the conversation we started about attitude, that and almost like, and I don't go along with that, circle of support. A circle of positive people around you to keep you going. And then, of course, we want to touch on Frank Sinatra. But let's continue on the attitude because, I understand it's very, very hard sometimes to to get up each day and face what you have to face and say, why me?
I love getting up in the morning. I don't always get up in the morning early.
Okay.
Some days I sleep until 10 or noon, or I've been known to sleep into the afternoon, but I love waking up and I love the times we're living in. Yes, we are living in some chaotic times. But, there's all kinds of wonderful things that are going to happen. Medical advances and people going to Mars and things like that. And there's so much in life to look forward to.
So true.
You talked about the network of people before.
Oh, yes.
I like John mentioned, circle of support, which is really like a network of people if you get right down to it. And I think life for anybody is much more pleasurable if you have a network of people.
Absolutely.
But I do believe that you have to reach out, like in your case, visually impaired, you have to reach out. People aren't beating your door down.
No.
You have to be willing. It takes work to have a network of people.
Well, it started at home with my mother and father. As I said in the previous segment, my mother and father made sure that I was able to get the best education. I went to grade school at St. Lucie Day School. At the time, it was called St. Lucie Day School for the Blind in Philadelphia, which is where I'm from, South Philly, the Italian section. And I went to school at St. Lucie's, and I had the privilege, both in the honor of studying under a Catholic sister, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, Sister Gerald Mary, and her teaching and her ways and doing things were invaluable to me. And then when we hit third grade, we mainstreamed with the Catholic grade school across the street with the people who were sighted. And that is very, very important because this is not a blind world. The world doesn't revolve around me. I go along with the world, and the people who are sighted, we learn to adapt in that world. I went to Bishop Newman High School after 8th grade, community college in Philly, and I completed my education at Penn State. And most people who I came in contact with, a lot of people I see on my high school cronies on Facebook, and the majority of them turned out to be really good guys, and they encourage me, and I see them on there, and I'm just so happy to be a part of them. And the network can be anybody. It can be cousins, aunts, uncles, priests, nuns, anyone. And I believe that like people attract like people.
Well,
I'll go along with that. It's very true. And just listening to you and your positive attitude, it's hard pressed for a doom and gloom person to hang with you. They're gonna change their opinion if they do.
Well, what I would like to do when I meet people like that, gloom and doom people, I like to think that maybe I can influence them, because It's not what we receive, it's what we give, and the knowledge that we impart to other people with the attitude and the whole bit. It's not what you receive, it's what you give.
Right.
And I'd love to work with Otto and you guys and Barbara Melman and all the people who are involved with technology and public relations. And I'll say this about the area that I'm in. I'm on the northwestern Nassau County. I'm not only happy to be living here, I'm proud to be living here. People up here are so nice. When I go into town, if I visit any of the haunts that I found in town, people are fighting over me. I'll help you across the street. No, I'll help you across the street. And even if I don't need help, I'll always accept it, because I don't ever want people to feel like they can't give it away.
That is nice.
Well, no, it's true.
Okay.
It's true. It's true.
Anthony, I'm thinking like you were married and you now have a girlfriend, all right?
Oh, yes.
The person who you marry or the girlfriend who you have to be of your kind of nature in order to, it's a two-way street. They are basically living with some visual impairment themselves, in my opinion. So I kind of give me your thought on that.
My late wife, who I was married to, she was a gem. She's in heaven. And a few months before she passed, she told me she was going to send someone to me, and she did. And my girlfriend or fiance or whatever I choose to call her is a very positive person. She can't do enough for me. She can't be nice enough to me. But you know what? It has to do with, it is a two-way street, and it has to do with what I bring to the table as well as what she does, because I'm not here to have a caregiver. I'm here as to have a partner. And I'm very lucky that I have the partner who I have.
That's unbelievable. My God, it's so special. I'm the one that watches the clock here. I do want to talk a little bit about Frank Sinatra too.
Oh yes, he in my family in South Philly, as in a lot of families in South Philly, particularly Italian families, we revered him as being in our family. I revered him as one of the most positive people that I ever had the occasion to meet. I was in his company 3 times. His music is very positive. His attitude was very positive, as was people in my family. He was just the greatest. I loved him when he was alive, and I love him to pieces now. I believe he's sitting at God's right hand, and God is his number one fan.
I grew up in the Frank Sinatra era, and I saw him live twice in Las Vegas, and
Wow.
He was a great showman, and a very unique personality. I didn't know him personally. I never talked to him, but he was a great entertainer. And his music, what I always like about music, that I like to understand the words. And I'm not trying to be like the old guy here, but a lot of the current music, I haven't got a clue what the words are.
Oh, I know. I
Yeah.
know. I know. I didn't know him personally. I don't believe anybody knew him personally. He was a very complicated man. However, there'll never be another one like him. As I say, I love him, and I had the occasion to see him almost 100 times between Philly. I met him up here in New York at the Uris Theater in Manhattan. And I saw him in Chicago. I saw him in Vegas. And he was just the greatest. And, just the way it is.
Terrific. When you find somebody like that you, Anthony, find inspirational, nobody can take that kind of stuff away. That's too important. When you listen to his music, obviously it brings you peace.
Oh, it does. And speaking of inspirational people, I can't say enough about Dan Cox and John Ryan and Otto Lohse and Christina Lou. All of you. I listen to all of you every week. I'm very happy and honored that I could listen to all of you every week. Now, I'm not trying to paint a rosy picture of myself because as positive as I am, I have my bad days. Everybody has good days and bad days, excuse me. Everybody has good days and bad days. However, I want my bad days to be better than anybody else's good days. And that is important. And where I got that from was Frank Sinatra. He was friendly with Benny Goodman. Mm-hmm. And every time he saw Benny was practicing. And Frank said to him one time, "You're always doodling with the clarinet. You're always practicing. Why do you do that?" And Benny Goodman, in so many words, said to him, "Well," he said, "I want my bad days to be better than anybody else's good days." And that's how I feel about my bad days. I have some days where I don't want to get out of bed. Wow. Because, I mean, some of us do. But eventually you come around and you say that's, you got to recharge your batteries. And there you are.
Unbelievable. Anthony, you might enjoy listening to us, and I appreciate that very much, as does Dan and Christina and Otto. But having you on the show today was really inspirational. I mean, really. And I'd like to make sure that Christina brings you back. If you're willing to come on every couple of months just to hang out with us, I'd love it. And I'm sure everybody else would, because you're tremendous.
I am a ham. I love being in the spotlight, and I love singing. And oh yes,
we can't do it. We can't sing it.
You could sing a Sinatra tune for us.
The next time he's on, Anthony, you're going to sing us a song. But right now we have to hop. It goes too quick.
Okay,
you've been listening.
Gentlemen, stay safe.
Thank you so much. Listening to Senior Talk Radio here on 88.1 FM and WCWP.org. Thank you so much, Anthony. Have a great day.
Like what you hear? Here's how you can let us know. Give us a call at 516-299-2626 or email us at info@wcwp.org. Like us at facebook.com/mywcwp and leave a comment or tweet us at mywcwp. We welcome all kinds of feedback. To directly support the podcast you just enjoyed, leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to give back, visit wcwp.org and click the support tab. Thanks for listening from your friends at WCWP.